Good morning, everybody. We're going to get started. Thank you for coming here today. We're going to talk about recruitment and staffing, a topic that has been of interest for our families and our community throughout the summer, including our news media. Here today we have our superintendent, Dr. Monifa McKnight. We have representatives from our administrators union, Dr. Christine Handy, and Ms. Pia Morrison from our supporting services union. Also online we have with us the board president, Ms. Brenda Wolf, and Dr. Kapunen, who is our MCPS medical officer. So without further ado, we'll get started. Superintendent Dr. McKnight, thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here. We are in August. The back to school commercials have already started. And so we are busy here getting prepared for our students and our families to welcome them into a coming year. It is really important for us to be able to come out and talk with you about all the things that we've been doing this summer, actually all year. The work of preparing for the next school year never starts at a particular time. It actually happens throughout the entire year. Myself, among many, many others, come together and figure out what are all the things that we need to do to prepare for the best experiences for our students. And I first want to begin by thanking everyone, because it is truly a community effort in which we come together to prepare for the best experience for our students. And so today it's important for us to come together 3 weeks before the start of the school day to say, where are we now? Coming into August of 2022, and where are we in terms of being prepared for welcoming our students on the first day and filling positions here in Montgomery County Public Schools. It's very interesting. I was just talking with the staff this morning, sharing that this is definitely a topic that is happening across the nation around how do we make sure we are preparing for the first day of school. I was recently with my family in South Carolina, and I turned on the local news, and what were they discussing? Vacancies in preparation for the school year. And so with that, I must say that we have been able to be very collaborative with others in terms of being very creative in all the things that we're doing to make MCPS a destination, a place of employment. We have been able to go out and work with many people and go into the community to make sure that the recruitment effort is not just one that represents a tradition of having people come and apply for jobs, but us going in our community and saying to our families and to our friends and to our neighbors and to our partners, saying that we need you, and what way are you able to help us in Montgomery County Public Schools prepare for our students in this coming year. So I have repeatedly stated that MCPS is a great school system, and it is a great place to work. And it's a great place to work because of the great people that we have here in this system. Those people are our teachers who make a big commitment to serve our students every day. Our bus drivers, who are the first faces that our students see when they begin the school day. Our building service employees, who are preparing the buildings to look their absolute best as our staff and students arrive. Our administrators, who are communicating with our families, and our counselors, and all of our employees who are working with our families throughout the entire summer to say that we are prepared for you. Montgomery County Public Schools is the largest school district in the state, and we are regularly rated as the top school system nationally, and we're fortunate to have a community who constantly puts education as a value of what we care about. And so as I expressed ways that our community have come together to help us address some of the challenges throughout COVID-19, and here we are preparing for the school year, everyone has stepped up and said, what can I do? Because they value education and make sure that our children in the school system are going to get the absolute best. With that said, I want to remind us MCPS was named more than once as a great place to work by Forbes magazine and others, including niche.com. And that means something. It means something. When we talk about this being a time and a place in which people want to come and what makes them want to come and serve our children and serve our children well, that means that we want to make the conditions well in place so that when they come and they do this work, they feel pride and as I feel honored to serve our children. And so with that said, I want to thank all of our employees from the bottom of my heart, because they are the people who make this a great place to work, MCPS. They are the people who make the children who come into our school systems, those children who thrive and are excited about returning to school this year. And so I just want to thank them. And as I thank our employees, I also want to thank our employee association leaders who are here today. Representing our staff, we have Ms. Pia Morrison here, representing the Service Employee International Union, Local 500. I thank her for being here today. And Dr. Christine Handy here, representing Montgomery County Association of Administrators and Principals. Ms. Jennifer Martin was unavailable to join us today, but we know that she does share this interest that I am talking about today as passionately as we do. Our employee association leaders are important partners in ensuring great employees for Montgomery County Public Schools, which is why we believe in doing a lot of our work together. And they're here today because they have the same interest that we have, that we recruit the best people here to work in Montgomery County for our children and our families, because that's what you deserve. And they partner with us in doing that. As I speak about partners, we have our MCC PTA president here, Ms. Debbie Orzak, and we're so glad to have her here. I've had an opportunity to work with Debbie over the years, and I know that she represents the interest of every other parent in the school system, which is to make sure that when we open the doors of our schools are prepared to serve children in the best way possible. And so as I name these partnerships, I continue to have that as a theme, because since I've taken the reign as superintendent, I've talked about all together now. And we are still very much in that place in which it does require that we're working together as a community to come together and provide everything that we need to provide for our children and our staff. MCPS has more than 24,500 employees, making us one of the largest employers in the state of Maryland. To support a workforce of this size requires that staffing not just happens now, as I mentioned, during the summer, but it happens during the summer definitely, extensively, but all year long. All year long. We value the support of our school system staff, and our employees in turn value that we build relationships with them, that we work with them, we provide resources, and we do everything in our power to maintain the challenge of high academic achievement that guides our students to make sure that they are prepared for their future. I have been in many jobs in my career, I must say, and the vast majority of them have been right here in this county in Montgomery County Public Schools. I've been a teacher, a principal, and an administrator. I was also a student, not so much more recently, but a student. And I know it's a difficult job to make sure that you are doing everything within your power to prepare for the experience of every child. But what an honor it is to do that. And that's what makes educators special. That's what makes us frontline workers when it comes down to taking care of our children in our community, which we take great pride in. And it does mean that we do everything that we can to make our students feel their best. And that means that as we get them prepared to feel their best, we're there, prepared to support them, and that means having adults in front of them who care about them, who can support them, who have every skill that they need to help that student be successful. And that's every single student. This year, as in previous years, we've had many positions to fill. However, this year we've been faced with particularly a steep challenge of seeking more positions to fill in a very, very competitive environment. That challenge is real and has brought about not only the typical cycle of retirements and major life changes, but of course, due to COVID-19, many families had to make choices, and many of our staff members were impacted by the pandemic. And here we are as one employer, a school system in Maryland, really figuring out exactly what we have to do to work around those nuances. And I must say that we have been working with very skilled people to figure out very creative ways to help us manage the staffing cycle this year, which has been different from any other. So let's face it, living and working since the onset of the pandemic has definitely brought out and heightened anxiety for people, and our employees and students are like in this same circumstance. But today I want to make sure that there are two messages that I want to leave you with in terms of where we are with staffing and what we're going to do. And I'm going to start by saying, one, MCPS is a great place to work. It is. I take great pride in saying that, and I take great pride in saying that coming here as a third-year teacher. I came to Maryland to work in Montgomery County Public Schools, and I've worked other places, and I am telling you, when it comes down to the benefits, when it comes down to the community, when it comes down to the salary, when it comes down to the people who you work with in your building, this is a great place to work. That has been my experience. It's been my experience, which is why I've been here over 20 years. With that said, I want to be more specific about why it's a great place to work. We have very excellent salaries, competitive pay, I will say. Our starting salary for teachers averages around $62,000. Okay? Very different when I did come to Montgomery County 20 years ago, but important to be said. Averaging $62,000. And we also have very important professional development that we provide for our staff members, and this is not just for our teachers, it's for our principals, it's for our supporting services staff, because we want to make sure every staff member feels equipped to do their job well. So it's not just professional development for compliance, it's professional development to invest in our employees so that they feel good and feel equipped to do their jobs to the best of their ability, and knowing that we as an employer are there behind them to do that. We also have career pathways for our employees, because we also know that when we hire you into the system, into this organization, we want our employees to see that you have an opportunity to grow and develop and go into other career paths that you may be interested in. I look at Ms. Morrison when I say this, because it's been years of conversations in which we've been saying, you know, how do we bring people into the system? What are the things that we need to do to keep them here? And we find that our career pathways for our employees is definitely an area. The second thing I'd like to mention is, because MCPS is a great place to work, we are steadily making progress in meeting the moment, overcoming the challenges, and staffing our schools in support of our students. We are not there yet, but we are continuing to make progress, and as I said before, we are implementing a number of different strategies. The main one is that we have never stopped hiring since the year ended last year or throughout the entire year, and I just want to focus in on that. So with that said, I want us to look at a few numbers so that you will have that and be very clear about where we are. Let's look at the facts and numbers where we are today and the open positions that we have right now and what we're doing to fill them. As of this morning, we have 246 full-time teacher openings, and 89 teacher candidates are in the approval process who are likely to be hired, okay? So again, when I speak about the changes happening every day, all the time, this is a perfect example of that. That means that essentially right now, we need 157 more full-time teachers. We have 59 open part-time teaching positions. The teaching vacancies are reducing every single day. Right now, as we are here in this press conference, there are people handing out cards, following up with phone calls, making conversations, and making connections with those who are interested in working here. The teaching vacancies not only are reducing themselves every day, but on July 20th, the open teaching positions were numbered at 396. Today, we need 157 more. So that's just shy of about 2.5, 3 weeks. And so I show that number to you because I want you to see that as we are continuing to staff, even up until the first day of school, the process will continue. Tomorrow, if we were to pull numbers, I guarantee you it would look different. By the end of this week, it's going to look different. And so I highlight that because this is a process that just continues every single day, and so the numbers are going to change. Since the start of the last hiring season, we have hired 833 teaching positions, okay? Last year at this time, the number was 732. So again, a little over 100 more teaching positions that we've hired for. We also have 450 open supporting services professional positions. These include paraeducators, office workers, building services staff, and more. There are bus drivers as well. There are 83 candidates in the queue to be hired. We need 367 more support professionals. Now, I also want to talk about bus drivers because that was a big conversation that we had last year opening up school, and so of course we have paid attention to that number and have really been creative in some recruitment efforts. We have 50 open bus driver positions. 50. I remember standing here last year this time telling you the number was way over 100 as I was passing signs of everybody in the world. It doesn't matter what state you were in, with signs saying that we're hiring bus drivers. But right now we have 50 open bus driver positions with 34 in the queue. So that means last year we were closer to 100, and right now we're at the point of seeking about 16 more bus drivers. So again, I share these numbers with you because I want to show you how hard our team is at work in filling these vacancies. And we are dedicated and are going to do everything in our power and will not rest until our school system is fully staffed, the number of open positions are reducing, and that we are still maintaining a high expectation around the quality of staff members that we hire and have prepared for our children. We have, as we do throughout the year, recruited from colleges as well and universities across the country, and I did want to highlight that because the recruitment efforts have been from coast to coast this year, quite frankly. For the last few weeks, we've also hosted several in-person recruitment fairs throughout the county. Our Office of Human Resources and Development hosts an open house recruitment table Monday to Friday from 7 a.m. until 5:30 p.m. to provide candidates with a chance to apply for jobs and with support during the recruitment process. We also market across the internet on platforms such as LinkedIn. We partner with many organizations as well who share the same interests to help us make sure that we are recruiting, and not just recruiting internally, but also recruiting to make sure we're recruiting for a diverse staff, representing the diversity that our students represent within our schools. And so with that, we've collaborated with some other partners, Montgomery College being one, and have worked with them in a job fair. And we are also going to be hosted by the Montgomery County Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, who's also going to host a job recruiting fair for us. We're continuing our community pop-up shops at neighborhood events, and our recruiters are always there. As a matter of fact, the executive leadership team have gone to these recruiting events as well because we all feel it's our job to go out and do that recruitment. So don't be surprised if we're out there, maybe in t-shirts, but we're out at these pop-up events making sure that everyone knows, from the superintendent to everybody within the system, we need you and we need your help within our school system. So we're excited about that. And this recruitment is going to continue. We have events coming up. Everybody, that's going to be at our back to school fair that we have annually there in Wheaton. We're going to be there this year, and guess what? We're going to be hiring there. So and one more, the Montgomery County Fair. We're going to be there too. Everything that is happening in Montgomery County Public Schools will be there, will be present, hiring, recruiting, and telling anyone who is ready and available that we need your help, and we would love to invite you into our school system to seek employment. So with these efforts, I'm proud to say that we are moving along. We are 98% staff and inching closer to 100% every single day. And as we work toward full staffing, we're reviewing our latest projections and enrollment. As you know, our staffing depends on the enrollment that comes in, and so as students come in, we have to continue to make sure we're meeting the need of the enrollment. We're committed to having a qualified adult in every classroom with our students, or a substitute teacher if we cannot fill the position on day one. And I want to highlight our substitutes because they have been, again, heroes throughout the pandemic and have come to work with our schools and our staff in different situations when we are still hiring, and they've been able to come in with a strong level of commitment. And even when we think about some of our substitutes, many of them represent retirees who have retired but still say, I want to be able to come back and do my part and help the school system. So I want to thank them and show my appreciation for that as well. So staffing in a large school system is complex. It definitely is. And it's a nuanced process, and we're working very hard to make sure we continue to meet the needs. And it's ongoing work, and it's work that I can't do alone, but I'm happy to do it alongside so many others. So many conversations are happening. I know our principals are talking to our staffers every single day. Our principals are in conversation saying, what can I do? I need this diamond in the rough. Help me find this particular person. And our staffing staff are there picking the phones up and working with our principals and leadership alongside. So we all are working on a common goal together. And I started with that, and I want to end with that. It's a common goal. We all are recruiters. We will have cards for you if you would like to take them with you when you leave today. And we are all on one team, working so that our students actually have every single thing that they need when they walk into our schools on the first day and throughout the entire year. So with that said, I will turn it over to our first president, Ms. Pia Morrison of SEIU, and then Dr. Handy Collins to provide any comments that they would like in our shared goal of making sure that our schools are prepared for our students and staff. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Pia Morrison, president of SEIU Local 500. As a former MCPS employee and a staff member, I can say that What I enjoyed most about being an employee for Montgomery County Public Schools was the direct impact that I knew that my work as a technology support professional had on children, and the opportunity for young girls of color and young ladies in particular to see that women could have a successful career in technology. I can proudly recommend MCPS as an employer because of all of the outstanding benefits that Dr. McKnight has already mentioned: our tuition reimbursement program, our student loan debt relief, the expanded career pathways program work, and the supporting services professional growth system. As an SEIU president who often is in frequent communication and collaboration with other SEIU K-12 locals, I can tell you that many of these benefits are not seen in other K-12 systems. In addition to that, I believe that working for MCPS is something that allows you each and every day to wake up and to live out your values. You have an opportunity to directly influence your community, and you have a direct opportunity to take care of and to support, whether you're as a support staff professional, you're doing that work in student-facing, or whether or not you're supporting the infrastructure of the system to make sure that you're caring for this community's most precious resource, and that is indeed the children. I think that MCPS is an outstanding employer. As Dr. McKnight has already said, it's been recognized nationally as being a great employer as well. And I want to encourage people in the community to apply for these positions. MCPS has been very creative in looking. I know I've been offering suggestions, and I really want to say MCPS is a great place to work. You have a great unions to support you as an employee of MCPS, great benefits, and a great opportunity to grow and develop your career for an employer that is truly committed to being a destination employer that supports its employees. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Dr. McKnight, and thank you all for being here today. Staffing, this is an important topic, and myself as the president of the Administrators Union and all of our members, we share in the interest to have highly qualified people, staff throughout our school district on day one. We want to be ready on day one. So that we can be prepared to give our students and our school community the amazing education and school experience that they each deserve. We appreciate the work that has been done by MCPS recruitment team to hire excellence at all levels for teachers and support professionals and our administrators. Our administrators and supervisors are working diligently to fill every position by day one. This is going to be a great school year. We are hopeful. It is full of potential for our students, and we're looking forward to that first day of school. And I just want to say to everyone that's here and everyone in the Montgomery County community to remember that we are all ambassadors for our school district, and we're just asking for everyone to help recruit amazing staff for our school district. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your comments. We'll, of course, take your questions now. Does anybody have a question? Yes, right back there.
Hey, Dr. McKnight, I know you guys have, Montgomery County has the COVID-19 vaccine in place for employees. Do you think that that's maybe adding to any of the concerns with staffing folks that are not wanting to, who aren't vaccinated? Do you think that's contributing to maybe the still need for some people to get hired?
Oh, that's a great question, and thank you for asking that. I would say that has not been our story in Montgomery County Public Schools. When we started providing vaccinations for our staff, I mean, we were leading in the county in terms of employees who were willing to get vaccinated. And again, I want to say that was some great partnership work, again, with our associations, because they were very critical in helping us send that message out to employees about, we want you to be here and we need you, and so we need you to be safe. And getting the vaccine was the first step in that process. So because our vaccination numbers were really leading early on in the process in Montgomery County Public Schools, I would say that really wasn't our story. And then we also, early on, as we were managing the pandemic, we made provisions, in those special circumstances for our staff. But thank you so much for asking that question.
Okay, I have a few, but I'll start with one and I'll lump a couple in. Talking about subs, do you have any information on how many subs you have available And then I know because that has been an issue in the past, do you have any new plans on how to deal with coverage as far as classes if there is a substitute shortage, aside from having teachers kind of cover for each other?
Oh, another great question. So I'll first give you some general things that we've heard and learned from our substitutes. So one, I mean, we definitely, this year, we're very, very thoughtful in how we were going to make our substitute pay competitive. And so that was one of the first things that we did to make sure we were addressing the need so that that was not a barrier in getting our substitutes to come in. We also worked with our school leaders who were simply amazing in establishing relationships with substitutes, in really figuring out who were the substitutes that were substitutes coming to their schools often and how they could be used on a regular basis, just one, for consistency with the children and our students so that they would know who those substitutes were, and just coming up with, very creative ways to make sure the substitutes were getting what they need. We provided training for substitutes. We provided a number of other incentives just to make sure that they felt like they were being brought into the fold as employees. So I'd say that those were many things that we did over the year that I think really puts us in a very different place than we were before in making sure our substitutes are prepared and willing to come and serve in Montgomery County Public Schools.
Thank you, Darcy. Leading up WRC.
Yeah, obviously a lot of questions, but as far as you're looking at enrollment, I don't know if you have the numbers yet as far as school enrollment, and with the need for 157 more teachers, are we looking at larger class sizes coming up this school year? If there's not enough teachers there, then I hear about the recruitment push. So as far as the new teachers, are these people just coming out of school like brand new, or are you more getting people who are experienced coming from other school districts in the region? And you mentioned a national outreach, like are there people coming from across the country to come here? Like what, as far as the hires, what are those folks looking like?
So I'm going to try to work your questions backwards, Darcy, as best I can. And so one, we're recruiting everyone. I mean, we have those who are coming out of college. We have those, we've hired a number of people from surrounding districts coming to Montgomery County. And so that's when I talked about the competitiveness in what we offer and who we are as a school system. It does make a difference. And so we have those coming out of college, which is a return of investment in those recruitment trips across the world. We've had a number of again, those seeking to look for different experiences who have experience coming from other counties, and we're excited about that because, it's all about making sure that we're getting those who are new starting out in the profession and then bringing in those who have experience, but feeling supported in understanding how to meet the needs within Montgomery County. So I would say it's all of it, and that's what's just been simply amazing about it. You asked about our enrollment. So right now we are at about 158,000 students, and so our number is about 1,000 more than we were at this time last year, and so that number continues to grow. I don't know if you know this, but August is a very, very busy month for enrollment. And there's a reason that the state does not get the actual official enrollment number until September 30th, and it is because there's a lot of transition that normally happens, and sometimes there's a delay to get enrolled, particularly from those who are moving into the area because they're trying to get situated, and so that's a number that we'll continue to monitor. And I feel like there was one more.
Part of the enrollment is class size. Are you
Yes.
expecting to have more kids in the class because you have fewer teachers, so does that mean larger class?
So we're going to maintain our commitment to the class size agreement. We believe that in Montgomery County Public Schools, we want the students to be able to have the experience that they deserve to have. And so that's why we've always, by our Board of Education, agreed on our class sizes. And so we're going to make sure we maintain that. So we are not going to go above class sizes in those cases, and I've mentioned this in our effort to make sure that we are addressing returning to equitable teaching and learning, and in order for us to do that, that means the teacher needs to be able to interact with the student in a way that's meaningful, and class size is a part of that.
Sir, you had your hand up. Let us know who you're with, please.
Dario Lopez, Telemundo.
How you doing?
A couple of questions, but with that's a question. For example, I'm a journalist. I have a background experience as a journalist, but not teaching as a teacher. To apply for any position in Montgomery County Public Schools, and what is the need to find bilingual teachers?
Oh, So we talked earlier about and thank you so much for the question. We talked earlier about making sure we're having partnerships with organizations who can help us with diversifying our teacher profession, because you can't just say, we're looking to just hire. We want to be purposeful in who we're hiring. Right now, I mean, we have over 57% of our students representing Latino, African American populations within Montgomery County. And so we want to make sure that the school system is representing that diversity as well. And so partnering with organizations to make sure we do that is definitely one way that we're going to continue to do that, and connecting with our families and our communities. So Montgomery County is a diverse county. So that's why we're in the community now doing more recruitment than we've ever done before, because all the diversity that we need in our school system is already here. It's a matter of us making the connections so that our families and our partners within our community want to come and work and be those models for our children as we open up the school year. And you spoke about having a background in journalism. We have a number of staff who've come who have been journalists in other careers and have come into the classroom and been able to bring their skills. And so, that's the amazing thing about teaching and being an educator. We look at the different backgrounds that you may be able to bring that can be additive to the experience within our schools. And then not only do we do that when we bring you in, we also put in a number of supports to make sure you meet the needs of certification and other things so that you can continue your career if that is what you choose to do in education. So thank you.
Kate Ryan, WTOP.
Hi, a couple of questions for you. Is there a classroom cap? Is there a max size that you will not go beyond in a classroom? You talked about diversity. There was recently the AAEEBD meeting on getting more on the needs of Black male students. How are you doing on hiring African American Black teachers because of the importance of that being those folks being in front of the classroom? And lastly, Kids Count is out today from the Annie Casey Foundation saying that especially in Maryland, but across the country, the need to address mental health. Children are calling out for, asking for, you've seen it in the board meetings who are demanding more mental health. How are you staffed in terms of mental health professionals for the coming year?
Okay, so I'm going to again try to go backwards in the questions. So staffing for mental health positions within the county has maintained to be a priority. The great thing about staffing this year is we're staffing for more positions to support our students in mental health than we had before, because we have so many more positions, like more school psychologists. We have more social workers and all of those other positions that are new, quite frankly, to us within the system. And so they do represent some of our vacancies, but again, we've really been very intentional about establishing partnerships with universities and others to make sure we're taking advantage of students coming out of school, and in some cases, building a relationship to have interns who can come in and support in many of those positions. And quite frankly, this work of supporting our student mental health has not stopped. While it is summer, and I still try to say we have to make the transition from what summer has represented years and years and years ago to what it is now, we found that making sure that we provide those supports and making sure that we're still connecting with families over the summer has been key. I mean, I just highlight many of our principals have been out doing popsicles at pools this summer and all these different things to make sure that they are connecting with families, which are new for us in Montgomery County and different, but it's been amazing. Just knowing that the summer in the past has represented, some time of separation, but not for us this year. And for us, the biggest connection that we can make for what we know has been a growing challenge to address the mental health needs is to make sure we stay connected, and essentially doing that this summer and making sure we were providing programs and services to those families and students who need them. And that's why we spent so much time this past year knowing who those students were and who those families were and where those communities were in Montgomery County that needed us to make sure we had that strong connection over the summer. And so we're going to continue to talk more about this as we get started for the school year, just talking about some of the initiatives that we are going to be launching this year around mental health some will be continuing and some will be new. All right.
The way you did for bus drivers and others, do you have like what your staffing should be and where you are?
I don't have those numbers specifically, but I'm sure we can follow up.
We can work on certainly getting you some of that. I need to get with our folks in HR. Let me go to Kelly Lynn, if I may, and then Bob, and then back to Caitlin. Let me get the thing. WJLA.
Were you asking numbers about the typical class size? Is that what you were asking?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, what is the average class size, right?
Our average class size is 30, depends on the grade. Secondary, I want to say
It can go up to
33, 32, go up to 32, not to exceed 32 in secondary. For our elementary, there are different numbers depending on the level. That's, we can get that to you more specifically as well.
Thank you.
Across the board level program, I mean,
Yes, program as well.
The other thing is, I know you've spent a lot of time and effort on recruiting. What about retaining these teachers? What steps are you taking to keep these teachers in place? And are they required to work for a certain amount of time?
So retaining our employees, even though we've talked about this year being a different one for staffing, that's something that we've had our eye on ever since, COVID-19, recognizing that employees needed something different and wanted some different things. And we've had some time over the past couple of years to really hear from them about what are the things that matter for them that keep them here. The first thing I'll mention is when we went into our negotiation season and bargaining season this year, we took that into consideration. And so when I talked about employee compensation, and I see our chief negotiator here, Steve Blivis, who works very hard with our associations to do that, we went into those sessions with that mindset, knowing that that would be very important for us to consider. And so when I sat at the board table and I talked about employees having a 3.32% raise coming this year, we talked about the significance of that because we knew with inflation and a number of other things that were changing in our environment as a result of COVID-19, that absolutely was a starting place. We just finished talking about wellness, but making sure that we are taking care of our employees and their wellness. I mean, schools have been so creative, and our principals, again, I have to hand it off to them, have done so many different things to get the word from their staff and office managers around what matters to you, what makes this a place that you want to work. We should have invited you all here this summer when we had a number of wellness activities here at Central Office. We had therapy dogs who were here in our building spending time with employees. We had a number of wellness days in which we had food trucks out front serving lunch to our employees and just having employees engage in building community. We found that particularly as educators, and I say this as someone who came into this profession as a teacher, there are many professions you can go into. And you go into teaching, this is a person-to-person business. And so that means that the environment that you have with the students, with your colleagues, is one that has to be one that is supportive and nurturing. And we went right back to that. And the pandemic, of course, made that very difficult. But we've learned and found that, being a part of a community in which you feel nurtured, supported, to be able to be your best at what you do and to not have to worry about things like going back to school and having to pay for tuition. Those are things that are important to our employees that we've heard from them that they want to see continue and that we've made a commitment to continue in the school system, making sure that they are in places, in schools and school environments, or places that they feel supported and being able to do their work and being able to build relationships with families. And so those building community, quite frankly, has been one of the ways in which we've heard and seen from our employees in so many different ways. This is what's important to me, and help me as an employer be able to live and work in Montgomery County, given all of the changes since the pandemic. As I mentioned earlier, inflation and a number of other needs.
Chris, thanks. Thank you. Dr. McKnight, kind of following up on what some of the other people have asked, but we know when there's a shortage of bus drivers, what that looks like. You've got kids at bus stops, the bus doesn't come, and it takes a few days to sort it all out. What does it look like when you don't have enough teachers in a school, in a classroom?
So it looks like there's someone there that is able and capable to start the year, although the hiring process continues. And I mentioned earlier, our substitute teachers are key in helping us to get the year started when there are not enough teachers who are permanently hired. We have, again, a robust cadre of substitute teachers who are trained, who come in. We have professional development we provide for them. We have meet and greets that we have for them to make sure they're ready for the year. And then those are the people who go into our schools and serve until that full-time position is available. And so long-term substitutes, some come in and saying, I can start and I can work for, a couple of weeks, a month, whatever it may be. And, knowing that our commitment is to continue to work to hire that full-time teacher. But those are the people, and that's why I started out showing much gratitude. Many of them are retired, and they're coming back. And many of them are, some I've met, it's been amazing, who are MCPS graduates thinking about going into education or starting to enroll into education classes and saying, you know, I want to start out being able to be a substitute, so then I get a feel for exactly what it is that I'm going to do for this profession. So that's exactly what it is.
We're career changers.
So I think, thank you. I think one thing that we haven't touched on here yet today is a lot of the openings that you do have on the teaching front deal directly with the most vulnerable students, students in special education programs, English language learners. And we know that these students in a lot of ways have been disproportionately affected in the last 2 years. What concrete steps are in place to ensure that that's not compounded now?
Yeah, it's been a challenge. And I just want to say that when we think about students receiving special education services, those are students who are absolutely vulnerable because they need the supports that have to be available for them to learn, grow, and develop. The shortage of teachers in special education is not, unfortunately, a new challenge. We've talked about this when we've had board presentations. We've also talked about the importance of us working on this problem from a two-pronged perspective. One, being a part of the pipeline. So developing those partnerships with the universities and providing incentives to make sure that we are working with getting those coming into this field of special education so that we can prepare for the pipeline that we know will continue to come and grow. We also, again, have those who have retired and come back and work as substitutes who do have those specialized areas of special education training that we rely on to come in and help. And in some ways, we've also been looking at contracted work. And where that's appropriate, how does that help us be able to meet the needs of our students? At the end of the day, the bottom line is, through all of these different circumstances or different initiatives that we have, we know that our responsibility is to meet the need of the students. And so we're going to continue to work with the school leaders, continue to work with those families and and all who are involved to make sure that they understand all the things that are taking place to make sure those students are getting what they need. Because that's our responsibility at the end of the day. And so that's what we're going to do.
Do you have numbers on exactly like how many teachers you need per grade, or if it's elementary teachers or middle school teachers that you could provide for us?
I don't know that we have that, Mr. Wiebe, do we? I'm going to call up our Director of Human Resources, Mr. Travis Wiebe, who, again, I just want to thank him for his ongoing work and support. When we talk about all these recruitment fairs and the partnerships, he's out there making all of this happen day and night. And so I'll ask him to speak to that specifically.
Thank you, Dr. McKnight. So yes, we certainly do have the breakdowns. We can share as evidenced by some of the questions that yes, special education is our top area of need, followed by elementary school teachers and school psychologists. So those are the top 3 areas that we're continuing to seek. And as Dr. McKnight said, we continue to rely on our excellent cadre of over 3,500 substitute teachers that exist within the system, many of whom are retirees. And again, as Dr. McKnight alluded to, many retirees are interested now in coming back. We're excited that MSDE has allowed us to offer 25 retirees no earnings limitations on coming back. So we're excited to be able to use that as an additional recruitment tool as folks may want to come back and continue to support the system. The other piece I just wanted to elevate and highlight is related to our substitutes as well, and that is we were pleased to be able to partner with MCEA and our labor relations team to be able to offer a permanent substitute pilot last year in 19 of our schools that had over 50 permanent substitutes that were able to come and support, particularly when we were dealing with the challenges of the Delta variant and had high teacher absences. So we're excited to be able to expand that initiative as well this year, and we know that'll help us as we continue to navigate these staffing challenges. Thanks.
Let people know your title.
Oh, sure. Travis Wiebe, I'm the Director of Human Capital Management here in MCPS. Sorry.
Could you briefly describe what a permanent substitute is so people can understand?
Sure, absolutely. So a permanent substitute is someone that comes to the school every single day to fill a need, regardless of whether it might be a teacher out in a particular grade level for one day, but it might be someone else for another. And we were able to do this in a situation where we could offer either 2 or 3 in some of our schools that had the highest number of vacancies, and we're looking forward to being able to expand that this year as well. They were also compensated at a higher rate of pay pay, so it was an incentive to be able to make sure that students had the continuity of learning and having an adult in the building that was familiar.
Are you able to say at all like how much you're expanding that part of it this year?
So I don't have exact numbers yet.
We know in like the service industry, there are not enough waiters and servers. And what is it in the school system that you're hearing is why you have so many, openings, why people aren't wanting to come back or come into?
You want me to go?
Yep. So I mentioned this earlier. COVID-19 was a time in which people really had to go back and reevaluate what it is that they wanted to do. It was a difficult 2 years. And we recognize and realized that there were a number of different changes that happened through that period of 2 years that made people stop, reflect, and think about, if I'm eligible to retire, is this something that I want to do now? And many people made that decision. And, not to mention, life changed for many of our employees. People experienced loss in a way that they had never experienced before. We cannot take away the fact that COVID-19 changed lives in a way that we've never experienced before. And so as an employer, and I'm the one who sometimes sits and reads out at our board meeting, acknowledge our retirees, and they've worked 33, 34, 37 years. We hate to see them leave because we know that the experience and the values leaving out the door, but we also understand that people have made decisions. They've had to go and take care of parents. They've had to go and take care of loved ones. They've had to, deal with the way that life has changed over the past 2 years, and so we want to honor that. Our question is now, as that experience leaves, how do we bring in that experience? And so, as I said earlier, as we recruit people who have the experience coming from other places, we value that as they become mentors for those new teachers and new professionals that we bring in who are starting out their career for the first time. And so we want to create that balance so that we're bringing cohesion and community so that as we live this life out after the pandemic, then we are also creating a new environment that really does address the needs of our employees and what it is that they want and need and how we can best support them in being in the system now and for years to come.
If I may, before we go on to the next question, I do want to remind that if we can make the technology work, the President of the Board of Education, Ms. Brenda Wolf, is online. Ms. Wolf, did you want to make a comment? Let's see if we can switch it.
Thank you, Chris. The only thing I would say is that, do I need to turn on my camera?
Yes, please.
I'm having some.
We want to see you.
Having some technical challenges that won't turn on. I had trouble. Okay, there. Can you see me?
Yes, we can see you and we can hear you.
I want to say that we're doing everything to fill the vacancies that we have so that we're able to support the students in the classroom. I also want to thank our union leaders for being present today. And everyone on the staff is doing everything possible to ensure that we fill the vacancies that we have that we need. Again, I want to say that we're also realizing that it's been a difficult 2 years and that our human resources staff has also been through a difficult 2 years and continues daily to be out night and day recruiting. I want to thank them for the hard work that they are doing also. So thanks again.
Bob,
Just wanted, you hear some places working with the idea of maybe requiring masks. Where does that stand for this coming school year with all and everything that's going on?
Yes, so we are so happy that we also have Dr. Kapunen, our medical officer. We were so excited to hire her, and she has been a gift since she's been here. She's on Zoom if you have any questions specifically, but I will say that we sent out a notice to our community week before last week, thank you, last week, sharing that we suggest wearing masks indoors. We recommend it. We continue to work with our local Department of Health and Human Services and monitor rates within Montgomery County, and while we know the transmission rates at some point had been high, we did have low hospitalization. And we attribute that to our community becoming vaccinated and getting the booster, and so we are still at a point in which we are still making it, we recommend mask wearing indoors, but it is not required. If we get to a point in which we feel like things change drastically, we will certainly collaborate with the Department of Health and Human Services, Dr. Kapunen, as well as the other colleagues, and make our community aware. Okay.
Yeah, just as a parent, when you're thinking about the school year, 3 weeks ahead, and kind of some anxiety there about the teachers and lack of staffing and the buses and things like that. What message would you have to parents to kind of, let them know?
Yep.
I won't tell you what message it is, but what message would you have for them? And then I guess just my curious mind is like, as far as teaching, is this becoming a thing where we're going to have this problem every year with recruitment? Are fewer people, wanting to become teachers? I have interviewed some people who left the system who got burned out, and also teaching to the test, so many tests, standardized tests, and data collection and things like that. But do you think this could be like a long-term problem as far as being able to recruit, and also again the message?
Thank you, Darcy. So we've been watching this now for the past decade, and we've been watching it at the university level as well, looking at the teacher education enrollment in different programs really declining. And so we know that there are a number of things that are contributing to that. One, competitive pay and salary. Particularly when you're thinking about students who have to go into college and pay for college, they want to be able to, if they have to take out a loan or a number of other things, be able to pay that back. And so when I think about the incentives that we offer, it is to address that problem here in Montgomery County Public Schools. But also, we have to work with our universities, which is exactly what we have been doing. Myself and a number of staff members have been out speaking to students at the university about why this is, quite frankly, an honorable profession. Because truly it is. It is an honor to serve children, because those children grow up to be those great people in our society who give back and just keep the world going. And we need those children, excuse me, we need those children to become teachers. And so that conversation can't start when it's too late. And so that's why we're out in the community having conversations with our families and sharing with our families, this is a great profession. And so when our children start to play school early on and they say they want to become a teacher, we need to continue to nurture that. It's one of the best things you can do in your life. And so doing that, working with the universities to make sure we are supporting the enrollment and making sure that our students who are in those programs are understanding what the real life experience is and providing that for them so that they can continue to grow, and building that relationship with them while they're in school so that when they actually come out, they have a contract. Those are the things that we think are going to matter in the long run of ultimately addressing the decline that we've seen in teacher education program. And again, I say this is important for our entire community to hear, because we have to have teachers. We must have them. They are important. They are frontline workers to the education of our children, and we need our families, and we need everyone to be able to respect and honor that it is a profession that needs to be uplifted in that way. In terms of our families coming back for the year, I just want to say this year we will welcome our children back, and we will be excited to have them back, and they will have a caring adult in the schools to care for them and provide them with what they need. Every year that we open up, there are shortages. And so that's why I mentioned earlier, we have relationships with our long-term substitutes and others who can come in and help fill that gap when it is needed. But most importantly, it is the person who is qualified and able to come in and care for our children in the way that they need to. So with that, I say to our parents, we're going to continue to work on making sure that we have our positions filled. But on the first day of school, we'll be ready. We'll be ready for our children, as we always are. And we want our families to feel comfort in knowing that, and knowing that we will continue to provide updates, and most importantly, make sure our students are excited about the first day of school this year. And thank you all so much.
I think that we're kind of near the end, but Nicole, you have it, right?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, thank you so much. Just a quick question. We talked a little bit about earlier sort of how you're supporting staffers through mental health challenges that we've uniquely seen coming out of the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
We also know there's unique learning recovery work to be done that's still being conducted. Would you mind kind of detailing how you're supporting staffers and the flux of new people coming in on kind of navigating that work with our students that have experienced unique gaps in learning?
Oh, absolutely. So that's work that will start this year and will continue throughout the year. So next week, we're going to have our new teacher orientation. And so it starts with them, all of those who we are bringing into the folds of Montgomery County Public Schools, equipping them so that they understand all the ways that we're going to support them and giving them support that they need in the classroom to be successful. And then, of course, when they go into their schools, making sure that they have mentors and others there who can help them get acquainted to all of the things that they need to get acquainted to, operational things, so that they can truly focus on what happens in that classroom. As our principals work to build our schedules this year, that's been one of the things at the forefront of their minds. How do we build the time for our teachers to get together and to collaborate so that we can be able to talk about how students are doing, how they are supporting them socially, emotionally, as well as looking at their academic progress. That's why we're here, to make sure our students are learning and they're being prepared for their academic future. And so making sure that the teachers have time to be able to collaborate and focus on that is going to be key. This year is going to be one in which we really get back to looking at, our students and how they're doing. Our teachers have done that, but they've had to do that with the distraction of contact tracing and a number of other things that became an operational challenge. I'm excited that our teachers will be able to have the time to really spend and look at our students, how they are performing, and what the practices are in the classroom that are leading to success for students, and what are the things that need to be changed to meet the needs of those who are not being successful academically. So I'm really excited about that, for our teachers being able to have the time back to do that. You also know that this year we made sure that we had a staff development teacher back in every single one of our schools. That was one of the reasons for that position, to make sure that they were there to be able to provide those collaborative opportunities for teachers to build that learning community, to look at student learning and address the needs so that we are meeting student needs, as well as the reading specialist positions in our elementary schools. So I'm looking forward to us continuing to come together and look at the results that's yielded from that investment and how our students are going to be progressing.
With that, we are over time. We're over an hour. Dr. Handy and Ms. Morrison are still here. They may be able to answer some of your questions as well. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much.